Hey, what is going on, guys? DK. Back at you with another video here to bring the 5-game NBA main slate on Tuesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you guys are unable to watch these videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. Link down below. It's called the DK DFS Show. And if you're interested in signing up for premium content for a few different packages on Patreon.com, more info down below. The sponsor of today's video is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a player prop site where you can pick two to five players and win up to 10x your money. You can mix and match sports as well. They have basically every single sport you can think of: NBA, NFL, NHL, MMA, tennis, soccer, esports. So there's two different ways you can play for NBA. The first way is you take over under and like straight up points, rebounds, assists, 3-pointers made. And the second way is taking over under on fantasy points. So yeah, if you guys want to try out Prize Picks, make sure to sign up and use my code. It is DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. You will get 100% match up to $100. So you deposit using my code, $100. You'll get a free $100 to use on this site. And finally, as always, I want to thank you guys for your continued support. Cannot do this without you guys. Really, really appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you do enjoy all the free content I put up. Okay, so before we get into players and the prices with 5-game slate, let's look back and line up here from tonight. This is why I don't play score-independent players. This is why. This is why. So, my lineup. Lowry, Ingles, Duncan Robinson, Sabonis, Jakob. Yeah. I am just in so much pain, whether I win or lose in NBA DFS, every single night it feels like. I got to get a couple. So, Pirtle, Brogdon, Gay, Valanciunas. All right, so where do I want? Oh, Duncan Robinson. So, yes, I'm extremely 1 of 10 shooting. I was talking about this in Patreon. I was like, I think they're going to use an 8-man rotation. He should play big minutes. There's still a chance he can fail, though, because he's super reliant on the scoring. And sure enough, I ate into the bad chalk. And, yeah, he couldn't hit a shot. So, no fun. No fun, especially when I was like thinking about it. I was like, I feel like Duncan's going to be over-owned tonight, but I went there anyway because I knew I was getting low-owned guys like Ingles, Gay, Valanciunas. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go with the chalk there. And it didn't feel good. You know when you're clicking your lineup and you're like, you don't have a good feeling about it? You should always change it. I did not have a good feeling about Duncan. I was like, God, I never get this. He just always can never hit his shots when I play him. And sure enough, 1 of 10 shooting. Okay, so there's number 1 tilt. Number 2, you guys see the Magic. I have played the 3 Magic guys every single slate: Suggs, Wagner, Carter Jr. Every single slate, pretty low ownership. Every single slate, blowout. I finally fade tonight. It's a 15-plus point spread. Think the game's going to blow out. They keep it close and everyone smashes. You guys happen to see the myths tonight for Jakob Poeltl? I have a confession, guys. It hasn't happened in a while. And it's really unfortunate. But tonight I got popped. I got popped. Low-owned Jakob Poeltl on pace for 50-plus. What is Greg Popovich do? Let's dust off Thad Young and play him the entire second half, basically. Close with the dust of Thad Young over Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl played like 6 second half minutes. He was literally on pace for 50-plus. Nah. dust off Thad Young and throw him in there for the whole fourth quarter. And I swear, if the Pelicans blow out the Clippers, I am going to absolutely lose my mind. I get a 0.8% Jonas Valanciunas absolutely smashing right now, and the game's looking like it's going to blow out. And I was hammering that home. On YouTube, you guys knew that. I was like, hey, game log watchers are going to avoid JV. He's going to be super low owned because the last 6 games, you had one competitive game. That was when Jonas Valanciunas was in foul trouble. Every other game was a massive blowout, and I knew game log watchers were going to get worried about Jonas Valanciunas and fade him. And I got him at 0.8% ownership. I swear, if this game blows out, if the Pelicans blow out the Clippers, I was worried about the Clippers blowing out the Pelicans. If the Pelicans blow out the Clippers, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be extremely mad. So, that's it for the look back right now, guys. Already in the cash with a 0.8% Jonas Valanciunas. So it's going to be a good night. If the Clippers can keep the game competitive, it could be a really good night. It could have been a massive night if I didn't get popped and Duncan Robinson just had a decent game. If Duncan Robinson gives me 25 and Poeltl plays his normal run in the second half, and he was on pace for about 50. So, give Poeltl 50, give Duncan 25. I probably have a chance to win some big, big money tonight. But no. So, yeah, guys, that is it for the look back. Had to get those tilts out of there. Even at a night like this where I'm going to win money, I am so upset. So this is the winning lineup right now in the Thunderdome. Kyle Lowry, Karis LeVert, Martin, Tate, Bam Adebayo, Brogdon, Sabonis, and Jakob Poeltl. You also had low-owned Sabonis get in foul trouble. He lost a good probably 8 minutes or so. So that was also Sabonis could have gone for 80 tonight. So Lowry 100% owned, no surprise. Poeltl was 37%. I thought he was a great play. Martin 62%. I get it. Right? He was starting. He was good value. Let's see what else. This is literally Petty Theft's boy. He plays Reggie Jackson every single slate. Jayshawn Tate got some ownership. Let's see. Wood and Porter were 2 guys I liked as well. They both went off again. But, yeah, that's really it for the look back, guys. Hope you had a good night. And let's talk about this 5-game slate. So, let's see. Do we have any Vegas odds out? I should probably refresh this. Knicks and Nets, it's the 216.5 over under. The Nets are 6-point favorites. Pistons and Blazers are 216 over under. The Blazers 9.5-point favorites, and the Warriors Suns. Yeah, this one should be great. I am super excited to watch this. 220 over under. The Suns 2.5-point favorites. All right, so let's start off with the Knicks, and the big news we got to first talk about is Kemba Walker no longer part of the rotation. Wow, is he falling off fast? So he is no longer going to be playing for the Knicks, or no longer in the rotation for now. We also have a few other pieces of news to keep an eye on. Derrick Rose is questionable. That's pretty significant. RJ Barrett is questionable as well. So they could be pretty thin here, the New York Knicks. Also, Nerlens Noel, but that's not a big deal. If he plays, he's going to split time with Mitchell Robinson. So it doesn't do much there with Noel. But we'll start with Randall, who the floor has been way, way lower on Randall this year than it was last year. Now, I like the matchup. I think the ownership will be relatively low because of back-to-back dud games. But if there's no RJ Barrett and no Derrick Rose, this team is thin. They're going to have to rely on Julius Randle for a lot of offense. So would like him a good amount there for tournaments. Alec Burks starting at point guard. It depends on Derrick Rose news. If Derrick Rose is out, then Alec Burks is going to play all the minutes he can handle. He played 39 minutes last game. So I would really like Burks if Derrick Rose is out. Even if Derrick Rose is in, I think Burks is solid, who probably gets close to 30 minutes, I would say. He's played really well this year, Alec Burks. Evan Fournier, I hate rostering this guy, but if there's no RJ Barrett especially and no Derrick Rose, he's probably going to have to play big minutes too. Even though he's reliant on the scoring, he would be firmly in play. Emmanuel quickly at 4.8K. He probably gets good minutes. He played 31 last game, especially if there's no Derrick Rose. So, again, keep an eye on the stats of Derrick Rose there. Mitchell Robinson, if Nerlens Noel can't go, he'll be the 5. He'll probably play close to 30 minutes. I think he's a fair value. Obi Toppin's basically just strictly playing the backup 4. So, like, his minutes, there's no real upside for his minutes because Randall obviously is pretty secure with his minutes. And then, like, if R.J. Barrett and Rose and Noel are all out, let's just think out this rotation, right? They're going to be thin. Randall's 1, Burks is 2, Fournier's 3, Quickly's 4, Robinson's 5, Toppin is 6, right? If all those questionable guys are out, that would be 6 guys I know for sure going to be in the rotation. Randall, Burks, Fournier, Quickly, Robinson, Toppin. So they'll probably dust off Jericho Sims for some run. He played 21 minutes actually last game. He probably gets in the rotation. And then I think you're going to look at some Summer League guys here. In Quentin Grimes, I think, joins his rotation at 3K. I mean, he's already been getting a little bit of run, 17 and 15 minutes. He might be asked to play more. And then where is Miles McBride, too? Like, he might have to play a couple of minutes. So I don't think I'm going to play those guys, but just, like, interesting to try to think out their rotation. If all these questionable guys are out, they're going to be really, really thin. And then if R.J. Barrett and Derrick Rose both play, then that downgrades the value for the Knicks, makes them all a little bit riskier. All right, let's move on to the Nets. So Harden, KD at the top, both kind of secondary options. I know KD had a massive game last game, but at their respective prices, both above 11K, they just like don't really stand out to me. Aldridge at 5'7", he's been starting the 5. I think he's a pretty safe play, a guy that is a pretty solid point per minute guy, should play close to 30 minutes. I like Aldridge here. I think Patty Mills is playable at 4'8". He played 38 minutes last game. The only issue is he's very reliant on scoring. Now, I'm telling you guys, I don't trust Steve Nash in his rotation. Bruce Brown, first game back, played 5 minutes. So, like, okay. DeAndre Bembry played 35 minutes. Back-to-back 30 fantasy point games for Bembry. I don't really trust this. He's a pretty low-usage guy. So, like, kind of iffy on that one. James Johnson's only 3-4, but he's been playing some pretty big minutes. He played 27 minutes last game. I think he's an interesting value play. The only concern is, like, he can go so many different ways. Like, Blake Griffin's been out of this rotation. All I'm saying is proceed with caution with these Nets value. There's definitely some guys that are interesting, but, like, would I be surprised if all of a sudden Bruce Brown plays 30 minutes and, like, Bembry's out of the rotation? No. Right? There's so, like, I'm just telling you, from what I've seen so far from Steve Nash in his rotations, I have zero trust in the Nets secondary plays. All right, Memphis and Toronto. So, Ja Morant, unfortunately, again, looks like it's not super serious, only sprained knee, but my best ball team, RIP. RIP with no Ja. But now we get to deal with the black hole in Dillon Brooks. He shot 17 times, guys. No. Not 17 times in a full game. No. 17 times in 21 minutes. He is literally a black hole, Dillon Brooks. He might, if this game stays competitive, you might get 30 shots from Dillon Brooks. So I think he's definitely viable. I don't really like playing score-independent players, but he's going to shoot the ball a ton. Triple J at 6'7", he got a good amount of ownership last night. I think he's viable. Very prone to foul trouble, though. That's the risk. And now his price is coming up, too. Desmond Bane at 6K, I think, is solid. Should play around 30 minutes. Then you have the guards and Tyus Jones, Anthony Melton. They're going to kind of split the point guard duties. The prices come up on both, but I think they're both still pretty decent options. I think Tyus Jones probably plays mid to high 20s minutes and probably get low to mid 20s minutes from Melton. Both should be productive when they're out there. Slow-mo, 4.4K. Not out of play, but doesn't really stand out to me. Steven Adams at 4.3. It's going to be him and Brandon Clark kind of splitting the 5 minutes. Adams, again, 4.3. You have Clark at 3.7. These minutes are just up and down on those two. So if you want to take a shot on one of those guys for GPPs, you can. But probably not get to anyone else there from Memphis. Moving on to Toronto. So a couple of big pieces, or one big piece of news to keep an eye on, since OG is already confirmed out, is Gary Trent Jr. is questionable. So that'll be something we will for sure have to keep an eye on. Let's see, Trent missed Sundays and didn't participate in Monday's practice. So I would think since he didn't participate in Monday's practice, he probably doesn't play. So if he does not play, then does it change much for Van Fleet and Siakam? Not a ton. I mean, they're still going to play like 40 minutes each and get a ton of shot attempts up. So I think both those guys are safer options, Van Fleet and Siakam, because of the amount of minutes they're going to play. I don't love the price in either, but these guys are going to play 40 minutes. Scottie Barnes at 7K does get a little bit of a usage bump. He's also going to play close to 40 minutes. I think he's fine. Again, price, would have wished he was a little bit cheaper. Now, the guy that gets the biggest bump here if Gary Trent Jr. is out is Svi Mykhailiuk. Svi Mykhailiuk goes from like a roll off the bench of like 15-ish minutes to 38 minutes in the starting lineup. So if Svi Mykhailiuk starts at 3.8K, I think it makes for a pretty good value play. The only downside is kind of scoring dependent, but yeah, he's so cheap, and if he starts again, I wouldn't be as worried. And then Precious Achiuwa I like for value too. He had a floor game last game, played 36 minutes, only 17 fantasy points in 36 minutes. But if we get close to mid-30s minutes again from Achiuwa at only 4.4, that stands out. So good amount to like here for Toronto if Gary Trent Jr. is out. Right now, I don't expect him to play. And Boucher is just, the minutes are not high enough for me to consider him. All right, Lakers and Kings. Who's ready for triple overtime again so Chalk Buddy Hield can get there? Huh? That was all pain, guys. I faded Chalk Buddy Hield. He was a massive bust. End of the game. And triple overtime. So he plays 15 extra minutes and bails out everyone that played him. Lakers big three. It's a good matchup. Again, though, like, all right, so look what they did in triple overtime. They all like barely got value. LeBron in 50 minutes, 56 fantasy points. Anthony Davis in 49 minutes, 52 fantasy points. I think Westbrook had the best game, went for 66 in 51 minutes. But like at their price points, they're all just tournament plays. Like one of the Lakers big three can definitely have a good game. But, like, I don't know if I want to mess with it on this slate. So, right now, there's all tournament options for me. THT's fine at 4.9. I think we get mid-20s minutes. It doesn't really stand out. I will mention, because I played Dwight on the Showdown slate, a random DNP for Dwight Howard last game. So, for some reason, they're playing DeAndre Jordan more. He played 21 minutes. If DeAndre Jordan plays 20 minutes again, I think he's a decent value play. But am I confident in that? Not really. I'm moving on to the Kings. So we have Barnes, doubtful, and Rashawn Holmes is ruled out. Yeah, so we're still waiting on the Rashawn Holmes news. We'll have to keep. Wait, I'm just reading this. It's not a good sign. Okay, yeah, so we still don't know news on Rashawn Holmes. Let's start off with De'Aaron Fox at 8.4. So last game against Memphis, who's having a pretty good game, and it's a random massive blowout. So he only played 21 minutes. If the Kings are going to keep seeing competitive, it's probably because De'Aaron Fox. I do have some interest in him in GPPs. Halliburton and Hield both fine in the mid-range. Halliburton will get everyone was just awful last game. So he got destroyed. Buddy Hield, he's going to get a ton of shot attempts up, that's for sure. He's still relying on the scoring, but definitely viable. So the main three guys for the Kings are all in play. And then if Holmes is out, good luck with this three-headed center rotation of Alex Len, Tristan Thompson, and Damian Jones. I will say Tristan Thompson's been playing the best. So, like, if I was going to roll the dice in one, it probably would be Tristan Thompson. The minutes from Metu and Bagley, I have no confidence in. Bagley only played 19 minutes last game. Metu started. He played 23 minutes. Davion Mitchell's probably going to get, 25-ish minutes off the bench. Terrence Davis did start last game, too. If he starts again, I think he's a decent value. He got in massive foul trouble, then got injured, but then ended up coming back and getting there in garbage time. Just so weird. But yeah, Terrence Davis, if he starts again, I think is someone we can consider for value. All right, Golden State and Phoenix. This game should be really, really fun to watch. Don't know if it's necessarily going to be a great game for DFS, but yeah, I'm really excited for this game. So we'll start with Steph Curry at the top at 11-4. Phoenix has not been the same team really defensively this year. They're playing at a much faster pace. Steph Curry, we know the upside is extremely high in him. The floor is a little bit lower, but yeah, I like him a lot there for tournaments. The secondary options in Green, Wiggins, Poole don't really stand out to me at their respective price points. Still no Damian Lee, still no Iguodala, so they're going to run a tight rotation for Steve Kerr's purposes of probably a 10-man rotation instead of a 15-man rotation. So a couple of guys I do want to mention. Otto Porter at 4.4, with those two guys out, has been playing about 20 minutes a game. He played 26 last game, but a massive game. He is a decent point per minute guy, so I think he's at least worth a look. And then Juan Toscano-Anderson has been getting more minutes over Bjelica. He's only 3.5. He's been getting around 20 minutes off the bench. For like a punt play, I think he could do worse. All right, on the Phoenix side. So Devin Booker, definitely in play for GPPs. Kind of like Steph Curry, though, a little bit of a lower floor. Chris Paul, higher floor because of his assist. I think he in big games, usually they run Chris Paul out there a little bit more. Like he played 36 minutes against the Nets, so I'm expecting mid-30s minutes from Chris Paul at 8K. I think it makes for a pretty good option. I don't think he'll be super popular. DeAndre Ayton was awful last game, but I think he plays, again, low to mid-30s minutes, a fair option there. Mikal Bridges had 22 steals last game, so he had a good game because of that. We're definitely not going to get that many steals again from him. And then the value, I just don't think it's necessary on the slate. Like I'll mention JaVale McGee, revenge game narrative. He's probably going to play 15-ish minutes off the bench. He's gone for 20-plus fantasy points the last 4 games. The answer is yes, guys. I am still very much tilting that game when I finally faded McGee when DeAndre Ayton was out for a stretch and he went for a 50 bomb. Yes, I'm definitely still tilting that. Okay, Detroit and Portland is a late-night hammer here. Not much of a late-night hammer, but this game is intriguing for DFS purposes. So if you think the Pistons can keep this game competitive, I think this game does have a good amount of upside. So we'll start with Cade Cunningham at 7.7. He's been a little bit up and down, but the minutes have been secure for him in competitive games. Like he's going to play 35-plus minutes if the game stays close. A guy that also he's prone to foul trouble. So like that's a way he can lose minutes. But if the game stays competitive, I think he plays mid-30s minutes. I don't think he'll be super popular, but I definitely have some interest in him for GPPs. Jeremy Grant has been playing really well of late. Had a massive game last game. 40-plus fantasy points now in 3 of the last 5 games. Again, up-tempo game here against Portland. I think Grant and Cade Cunningham are going to be the reason if the Pistons keep this game close. Sadiq Bey has taken a step back offensively. The minutes are still there. Like he's fine. He's a decent rebounder. He can get some peripheral stats, but it's not a play that really stands out to me. Isaiah Stewart at 4.6, also kind of just playable. Like if he stays out of foul trouble, he probably gets close to 30 minutes. I'll mention Killian Hayes. Fingers crossed you play this guy, though. He has such a low floor. He's flashed a ceiling a couple times, but like, man, this floor is single digits with a guy like Killian Hayes. The positive, though, is he did play 29 minutes in his first game back. I just don't think I can mess with the Pistons bench. It is just, God, this bench is so disgusting. Corey Joseph, Trey Lyles. I just can't do it. All right, Portland. Let's start with Yusuf Nurkic at 6'4". I like a good amount here. So, finally got minutes, 30-plus minutes, smash. Was smashing against Golden State, they don't close with them. Utah, tough matchup in a blowout, 27 minutes, 40 fantasy points. Now he gets the Pistons. So the way Yusuf Nurkic fails tomorrow is either he gets in severe foul trouble or they close small. If Nurkic gets close to 30 minutes against this Pistons front court, you look at this upside. I've been hammering home, right? The meme of the guy holding up the sign, that's literally me. Play Nurkic more. Look what happens when he gets minutes. 60, 40 fantasy points. Play him more, Chauncey Billups. All right, Damian Lillard at 9.7K. It's a good spot here against the Pistons. He's been quiet last couple games. I think that will lower the ownership, but yeah, he's going to play close to 40 minutes if the game stays close. CJ at 7.9, he does have upside, but he still has a low floor too. And then the interesting part here is Norman Powell, I don't expect to play. So if he's out, tonight they started Tony Snell for some reason. Like why? How is Tony Snell in the league? Do not ever start Tony Snell. In the second half, they started the correct player in Nasir Little. So if Nasir Little starts, I think he's a pretty good value at 3.5K. You have Robert Covington at 3.9 that probably plays in a close game, 30 minutes. You have Larry Nance at 3.7 that probably pushes for 20-plus minutes as well. Like it might run some 3-guard lineups here with Anthony Simons at 4K. So I think he's interesting for value as well. So yeah, if Norman Powell's out, you have some decent value plays here. Like Simons, he's had some upside games recently. Nasir Little, Nance, even Covington I think is in play as well. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for the video today. So if you have been enjoying the content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I will be live streaming tomorrow doing a YouTube live stream, so make sure to check that one out, guys, Q&A style. But thanks again. Have a great night, and I will see you all tomorrow.